Competitive Wisconsin's goal is to improve quality of life and competitiveness in the state of Wisconsin on behalf of its citizens and institutions. We've been doing that since 1981 in one fashion or another. Most recently, starting in about 2010-11, we started something called the BeBold initiatives. And the BeBold initiatives are a process in which we engage business leaders, folks from the academic community, the expert community, the governmental community, et cetera, to focus on large issues confronting the state of Wisconsin. This is our third BeBold initiative that we're here talking about today. And the assignment this time was to try to identify two large employment clusters that were really contributing to Wisconsin's economy and to its quality of life. And we did that by going to the UW-Madison, UW system and asking for some research help in terms of identifying two clusters that had had sustained positive job growth and had capacity for further job growth in the state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation also helped with some of that research as we went forward. And we identified two major employment clusters. One is the healthcare community with us today, and the other, as you know, Steve, is food manufacturing. So we're here today to take a look at the question of what's working for those folks here in Wisconsin. That's where we went with the process. We engaged leaders from the industry to come in and talk with Deloitte, our main research partner in that process. And they spent time doing research, comparative analysis in Texas, New York, Colorado. Came back here, we gathered leaders in a strategic planning exercise. I think we had 40 to 50 organizations, companies, and experts in the process. And they've identified needs and proposals that we'll be talking about this morning. Wisconsin's healthcare employment cluster is a critical piece of the state's economy, which is why Competitive Wisconsin selected it as one of the two clusters we were going to focus on in the BeBold3 exercise. There are basically four reasons for that selection. The first is that it's a major player in the state's economy, and let me put some numbers on that. Our adjusted workforce statewide in 2016 was approximately 3.1 million people. More than 400,000 of those Wisconsin workers, nearly 1 in 8, was employed in healthcare, and they and their employers comprised an economic engine that generated 8% of Wisconsin's gross domestic product in 2015. The second factor that's important from our point of view is that the healthcare cluster employment sector has been growing steadily since 1990. So that this is not a late blooming phenomenon, it is a consistent phenomenon over time. And as a result, Wisconsin now ranks in the top 30 states from an employment point of view in ambulatory care, hospital and nursing and residential home care facilities. The third thing that caught our attention when we were looking at it is that employment in the healthcare industry tends to be a stable phenomenon. And so when you compare turnover rates between healthcare employees and other forms of employment, it's very, very stable, and that's a critical piece of the equation. All of that said, that is that it's a major economic engine in the state, the fact that it's been growing for a long period of time, and the fact that it's a stable factor in our state, all critical. There are, however, two concerns that I think are worth noticing. One is that as the population in our state has aged and grown larger, we have a workforce shortage in the state in terms of our capacity to provide care. And the second area of concern is that when we just look at the age of the workforce and probable retirement issues, in 2015, nearly 1 in every 4 hospital and ambulatory care employees was 55 or older, suggesting that these two sectors will need to replace 60,000 workers within the next 15 years. Food manufacturing is a critical and essential component of the Wisconsin economy. The cluster employs more than 64,000 people in Wisconsin and generates more than $8 billion for the state's gross domestic product, ranking it 10th in the nation. The cluster has demonstrated strong employment growth over the past decade, and comparative employment numbers suggest that the cluster is sustainable because it holds significant prominence in the nation's food production capacity. Wisconsin, for example, is the top dairy products employer in the nation, employing even more people than California, New York, and Ohio. It ranks 4th in the nation in employing people in the fruit and vegetable preserving specialty foods category, behind only California, Washington, and Oregon. It ranks 12th in animal slaughtering and processing and 8th in other food manufacturing. Equally important, Wisconsin's food manufacturers are major consumers of Wisconsin's agricultural produce and as such play a critical role in supporting and complementing rural economies across the state.